Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a volunteer for NacoaUK and I'm the child of an alcoholic myself. And so the purpose of this video today is I want to talk a little bit on the subject of shame and how that's affected me in my life, relating to the fact that I'm of being the child of an alcoholic. So on this topic, what I've noticed since since my teenage years, really, since I started taking notice of my actions and the ways I was feeling, I suppose, I've noticed I have like an abnormal overreaction to sort of shameful events, if that makes sense. What I mean is something small and trivial, like a little trip maybe in front of like 2 or 3 people can give me a real over the top feeling of shame, you know, almost crippling. And I've always wondered why it was. You know, it's always been one of them things that's made me feel like I'm a weak person, or I'm certainly different from other people, and you know, just one of the million different reasons why I've always heaped a bit of pressure on myself and thought that I'm just not a very good person. And it's not been until I got into my adult life and I started to look at this stuff that I can see the links. If I take you back to when I was a child, it was my dad that was the alcoholic, and I can remember different times in sort of public situations where my dad did things that made me feel shame. And one of the examples I give you is I must have been around 6 or 7 years old, and we were at a busy park in Swindon, where I'm from, and I remember there being hundreds of people about. It was like a summer's day, summer holidays, so the park was jam-packed, and my dad was visibly drunk. He was drinking from a can or a bottle, cider or whatever, and so, you know, that was quite a shameful feeling in itself. But my dad actually started urinating in front of everyone, and I can remember the ways people were looking, you know, the disgust, people taking pity on me, and it just gave me a real deep feeling of shame, anger, lots of different feelings, you know, wanting to protect my dad. But the one I'm going to concentrate on for the purpose of this video is the shame that it made me feel. Deep shame, you know, crippling. Like my stomach was like being crushed like a can, is the best way of describing it. And so feelings like that I can see today were feelings that I buried, you know. Certainly wasn't something that I felt that I could speak about. I mean, I didn't want to talk to someone who was going to share in my shame or give me the same pity that I saw from the other people at the park. So like a lot of the feelings I had as a child, I sort of subconsciously chucked it to the back of my mind, and I buried it in that dark closet right in the back of my mind with a lot of the other emotions. And so what I was doing, kind of unknowingly, was suppressing that feeling of shame. And so what I can see today through firstly acknowledging some of my feelings, and then secondly speaking about it with people, is I can now realise that even when I have small feelings of shame, you know, like I mentioned, a trip in front of a couple of people, or out for dinner with someone and I get a bit of ketchup down there, that it brings back this whole feelings of shame that I've suppressed as a child. And what I found is knowing this doesn't actually stop it happening, stop the feelings of shame coming back. But what it does do is it makes it easier for me to manage them. I can catch myself, you know, I can catch that feeling, and I can say to myself in my mind, okay, I know where this is coming from. It's not to do with the trip or the bit of food on my t-shirt. This is one of them feelings that's drawing back from when I was a child. And what I've found and what I'm finding is the more that I share about this, the less power it gets, and like I say, the easier it becomes to manage. So yeah, I mean, to summarise the point that I'm trying to make in the video is that by first accepting that I'm feeling this way and sharing it with someone else, it means that I can move forward in my life and be able to gain some sort of normality to seemingly trivial events in my life, if that makes sense. Obviously you don't need to share it in a video like this to YouTube, but the reason I'm doing that is because I want to try and share with people that how important it is to talk about the way you're feeling. I think if you're a child or a teenager experiencing similar stuff, maybe there's a friend, a family member that you could talk to, and if not, then there's always NacoaUK. There's a emailing helpline, and there's also the telephone helpline, so you can call and speak to someone, or if that feels a little bit tricky, you know, then maybe send out an email, and there's always a volunteer willing to understand and willing to listen, and help us all move forward in our lives as children of alcoholics. So the website will be listed below, and the email and the contact number if that was something that you felt that you'd like to do. Also get yourself on the website, you can have a look and see lots of other people's experiences with this stuff, and a good reminder that we're not alone. So great.